Let's turn our attention to another top journalist. Dave Reed is at the big screen to examine some of those claims about Amorim. Start over to you, journalist Dave.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you. Yes, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has compared Ruben Amorim and Mikel Arteta, saying that the Arsenal manager had a miserable time over the first couple of years at Arsenal. Amorim has now managed 50 games at Manchester United, so we can compare his start to that of Mikel Arteta. Now, the first thing you're going to notice here is that Arteta had a better win rate. Amorim has won 8 fewer games than Arteta did in his first 50. They've scored a similar number of goals here, but it's the goals against which you'll see a major difference. Amorim's team has conceded 28 more goals than Arsenal did, and they've really struggled for clean sheets as well. They've conceded more than twice on 21 occasions, including against Grimsby and Burnley just this season, and they've conceded 3 or more goals on 9 occasions as well. They let in 4 at Newcastle and Brentford at the back end of last season. It's those heavy defeats which are harder to stomach for ex-players and, of course, the supporters as well. So Mikel Arteta built his side from the defence first, and he also showed a degree of flexibility. As you'll know, yes, we are talking about that formation again. Amorim has used a 3 at the back system in every game in charge so far. Arteta, on the other hand, used 6 different formations, including a 3 at the back, in his first 50 games. He went on record to say that ideally he wanted to move towards a 4 at the back setup, but that the players at Arsenal that were currently then at his disposal suited a back 3 or 5, and it allowed his attacking players to be in better areas of the pitch to exploit their skill set. Ruben Amorim has done something slightly different. And just to give you an idea of how things can change, this is Arteta's lineup for his 50th game in charge. Only Gabriel and Ødegaard remain. How different, then, might we see a Ruben Amorim lineup in a couple of years' time? So let's take a closer look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe's quote that Arteta struggled for a couple of years when he took over. We've got Arsenal's league positions by day since Arteta taken over, with the dates along the bottom. Now, like Amorim, Arteta took over in the middle of a season. It's true, there were difficult runs of results. In the first few months of the campaign, Arteta had to navigate the COVID pandemic. That's that line there. But crucially, after that period, he also won the FA Cup. Now, after a year in charge, I know your eyes are getting drawn down here. Well, I'm going to get to that bit, don't worry. But we're going to start here, because on Christmas Day 2020, Arsenal were 15th in the table with just 4 wins from their opening 14 games. Now, had stadiums been full at that point, would the outcome for Arteta and his time in charge be different? You wonder. And again, at the start of the 2021-22 season here, Arsenal lost their opening 3 games, slumping to the bottom of the table. It seemed like at a couple of different points Arsenal could have pushed the button on Arteta, but they were patient, and now there has been gradual and steady improvement. Arsenal in the title conversation for the last 3 years. Will that patience pay off for Manchester United and Sir Jim Ratcliffe if he gets 3 years?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Thank you very much for that, Dave. It's an interesting comparison, isn't it? And obviously, it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe that used it himself in terms of Arteta. And Arteta was, at one stage, very much seen as somebody that could be facing the sack at that stage, you know, that Dave talks about. What do you make of the comparison between Arteta and Amorim?
I can see the comparison, the fact that both projects at the time when Arteta took over, and obviously when Amorim's taken over Manchester United, were going to be long-term projects. Yeah. There was going to be changes to the squad, to the players. There was, you know, different systems and different beliefs in the way they wanted to play. So I do see the comparison to the long-term project. Now, where we see the difference, and I definitely saw the difference with Arteta, he was definitely trying to find solutions. He was trying to find different solutions, really working hard into getting the best system for his players, getting those players fitted into that system and seeing what works best. And I think that's what the ownership saw as well. Whereas Amorim's taken a different approach with a system set in stone, and we're going to have to make it work one way or another within the system. So that's where I think it's a little bit tough to compare the two, especially because I like the way Arteta goes about it. He believes in his ways of playing, his principles. Systems can change, but the principles never change. Whereas Amorim is stuck on principles and systems, and I think that's where maybe he's getting a little bit more criticism and scrutiny than Arteta was, because Arteta was definitely searching for different solutions during his first couple of years at Arsenal.